So good morning students, let's continue with the testing. So in the last lecture, we discussed about the black box testing approaches for designing the test cases. Now in this lecture, we will be discussing about the white box approaches for designing the test case, right? So during the white box approach, what is important here is, first of all, we will be identifying the structural errors. The test case that we will be designing are focused on identifying the structural or the coding or the syntax or the semantic errors. Now we have few strategies, or you can say methods, according to white box approach. So while we have, let's talk about, say, these are the methods: statement coverage, branch coverage, condition coverage, path coverage, and McCabe cyclomatic complexity. So we have four distinct methods, and one is a method bit different, we'll discuss later. So what we are trying to say here is, we have the number of testing strategies here. So we need to identify which one is a stronger strategy, right? So let's see this example. Say you have one strategy, right? Say B, which is going to detect few types of errors, right? On top of it, we have another strategy A, or a method A, which is identifying few distinct type of errors along with these type of errors. So everyone is known to this Venn diagram representation. So if I mean B detects two errors and A detects one error, so altogether distinct one error, so altogether the A is going to identify how many errors? 2 plus 1, that is 3 errors. So which one will be a stronger strategy, A or B? Definitely A will be stronger, because it is going to identify 3 errors in this example. The errors which are identified by B along with few distinct errors which are identified by only A. So this will become a stronger strategy. While if I look at this representation, this represents the complementary strategies. That means there is a strategy A which identifies few errors. There is another strategy B which identifies few errors. But there is nothing common between the two, right? So we cannot compare these two. They have their individual existence. We call them as complementary strategies. So while we will be discussing these methods here, so we'll identify which one is a stronger strategy, right? So these are arranged in a particular order. So we'll say branch coverage is more, or you can say stronger strategy than the statement coverage. Condition coverage is stronger strategy than the branch and the statement coverage, while path coverage will be stronger strategy than the previous three. So this is how they are being arranged here. Now see what are these strategies. The first method is statement coverage. So what does this statement coverage says? It says that if you need to identify an error in any statement, the necessary condition is that statement must be executed at least once. Until unless you execute a statement, we cannot identify the error in that statement, right? So this is what I said, every statement in a program is executed at least once. What is the aim? Unless a statement is executed, it is very hard to determine if an error exists in that statement, right? For example, if I say I want to print the greater number, and I take, say, if A equals to, or we can say A is some value. If I say if A is greater than B, print A is greater, else print B is greater. This is a correct, you can say, a code, logic of the code. But mistakenly, if I make a typing mistake here, if I say if A is greater than B, print A is greater, else A is greater. Instead of B, mistakenly I wrote it as A. So if I give a test data to test these statements, and if I give each time the value of A as greater, like A equals to 2, B equals to 1, A equals to 10, B equals to 2. So every time the statement which is executed is just the first two. If A is greater than B, print A is greater, so each time A will be printed as greater value. And we are not giving any value or the test data which can determine the error of the next statement, the else statement. Error is present here because we are not giving a test input where B will be greater and we get a wrong output. So this is what is stated here. In order to identify the error in any statement, it must be at least executed once. So few of the example could be illegal memory access could be there, wrong result computations. So many examples could be there. However, executing some statement once and observing that it behaves properly for that input value is no guarantee that it will behave correctly for all the input values. Maybe for x values it is correct, while if you give y values, it's not necessary that it will show the correct response. It depends upon the inputs. So again, an example, second example taken here is we are taking a GCD computation algorithm, Euclid's GCD greatest common divisor. So just the logic of the code is given. Say if I take a function as a compute GCD with two parameters x and y, right? Then I take a while loop for this. If x is not equal to y, right? Again, one more loop is there which checks if x is greater than y. So we execute x equals to x minus y. Else, y equals to y minus x. Then the loop is ended a while loop. We return the value of the x. So this is what is given by this code. Now if I take the test case as, so how many test cases will be required? Minimum number of test cases required to check each and every statement. So first, sorry, we start with the first test case. See, 3 test cases will be sufficient to check each and every line. So first one is x equals to 3 and y equals to 3. See, we were checking. We always check the, see I have numbered these statements. So whenever we prepare the test cases, we only take the logical part. Right? So logical part is this, where the statements are being numbered. So first one is your while loop, where we say x is not equal to y. So one possibility is we will take equal. If the value of x and y are equal, so directly we are going to return the value of x. So this is what is, when we take these two as equal, this statement is getting executed as well as 6 statement is getting executed. Then another test case is x is greater while y is a lesser value, right? So if x is greater than y, we are executing this statement, and x is greater, so third statement will be executed. So we have executed 1, 2 and 3 and 6 statement till this point. Now if I take x as a lesser value while 4 as a greater value, so this else will be executed in this case, else y equals to y minus x, and this while loop ends here. So all the statements get executed with just 3 test data. So why to take hundreds of test data when 3 are sufficient? So this is what this method says. Design the test case in such a way that all the statements are being tested and we are able to identify the error if there is in any of the statement, right? So design a test case. So we have designed the test case. Minimum 3 cases were sufficient to test the entire statements, right? So this is what statement coverage says. So what is coverage? We are going to cover each and every statement, the scope. The second method is a branch coverage. Now a bit enhancement to statement coverage here. It says this, we have to design the test case so that each branch condition is executed at least once. Each branch condition means true and false, right? While, if it is while, then also true and false. If else was there, then also true and false. So assume true and false value to each of the branch condition in order to execute this. Another name for branch testing is an edge testing, right? What is this exactly? What do we mean by this? Say, for the same example, this, if I take the test cases according to the branch coverage, they are 4. I mean 4 minimum number of test cases are required to check, you can say, the errors in each and every branch condition, right? So first branch condition was while, this one. So one test case will be for true, another test case will be for a false value. Another branch condition is an if else. So true and false. So 4 test cases are required. So see, for the while loop I have taken 2 equal values and 2 unequal values. If it is satisfied, equal. If the condition is not satisfied, unequal values. Then these two test cases is for if. One case is x is greater, while another case is y is greater. So you can see that here the number of test cases were 3, so we can identify lesser number of errors. While here the number of test cases are 4, so it has a capacity or capability to identify more errors. So we say branch coverage is better than, you can say, the statement coverage, or it is more stronger than the statement coverage. So branch testing guarantees statement coverage and thus is a stronger strategy compared to the statement based testing or the method, right? Third one, condition coverage. Condition coverage is bit different, right? Condition coverage is applicable to a composite statement where certain conditional expressions or operations are being performed. Say this is a compound statement, right, where we have C1, C2 and C3 as component. Right? Now we have to design the test case for these, right? So there are logical operators, that is an and or application, right? Or operator is applied here. Now what we have to do in structural testing, in this type of structural testing, test cases are designed to make each component of a composite conditional expression to assume both true and false. Right? It states you will give true, say this is one of the component, but again it can be C1 is equal to A plus B minus C. C2 can be some other expression, right? See, we have the composite conditional expressions are there. On top of it, there are certain logical operators. So true and false value for this, true and false value for this, true and false value for this, as well as AND operations. So true and false value for this, true and false value for this OR operation. So ultimately you will find we have to assign true and false values, so multiple number of test cases are required to be developed here, right? So in this case, the value of n means number of components, are just 3. So we find 2 to power n test cases required to be developed. So it's a smaller value. But as n increases in a practical problem, you will find components are many, hundreds of components will be there. So how many test cases we need to design? It increases exponentially. So we say that though this is a good method, but practically it has a limited use, right? If the value of n is small, then only this method is applied, else we don't apply this method. So practically it's not feasible. So this is what a condition coverage is. Then comes the path coverage. So I said statement coverage is each and every statement must be executed once. Branch coverages, each and every branch condition must be executed once. While condition coverages, each and every condition or the component must be executed once. So we would assume that path coverage will be each and every path must be executed once. But this is not true in case of path coverage. So first of all, what do we mean by a path? In order to understand a path is nothing, it's just a way, a pathway between source and destination. So that is a path, right? I'll give you one example. Say I have a control flow graph. This is a control flow graph where we represent these statements are the nodes, like I took the previous example here for computing the greatest common divisor, and I have numbered these statements, the logical part. So these statements represents the nodes, right? While an edge is made when a control is transferred from one statement to the other, right? See, while x is not equal to y, execute statement number 2. So an edge is made here. But if the condition is not satisfied, what we are going to execute? We will be executing simply 6th statement. So see the 6th statement, right? Why? If x is greater than y, if greater than y, execute the 3rd statement, else execute the 4th statement, and the while loop ends at 5, right? While, for while we have to take a distinct for this curly braces. And see, there is a certain mistake here. This arrow will point from 5 to 1 because this is an end of a while loop. So again, the 1 number will be executed after 5, not after 3. This is a silly mistake here, right? So this is a control flow graph. So I was talking about what is a path. So path is the pathway or the route through which we can reach from source to this destination. So one pathway could be this, another path could be this, and third path could be this. Okay, this is connected to this 5 here. So we say path coverage. Now I said we will not say each and every path must be executed once, because how many paths are there in this control flow graph? Right? Can anyone guess? One path is this, second path is this, third path is this. Any more path? Yes. We assume it's not there, but actually there are infinite number of paths here, because maybe the condition doesn't get satisfied. This loop continues for 2 or 3 or 5 cycles and then it comes to an end. So likewise, we can have n number of pathways in this path. So it's not possible. If you have n path, so n number of test cases are required to be developed. So if n is infinite, so infinite number of test cases, which is practically impossible. So what we did is, instead of taking a path, we say linear independent path. Right? So we'll say that many number of linear independent path is equivalent to the number of test cases. That means each and every linear independent path must be executed at least once. Not the path, linear independent path. So what is a linear independent path? Right? Linear independent path is a path where at least one new node or one new edge is introduced. Any path which has at least one new node or one new edge or a distinct paths are considered, not the repetitive path, right? Distinct paths are considered, right? So that is linear independent path. Then what is required is a control flow graph. I have discussed you what is a control flow graph. It represents the sequence in which the different instructions of a program gets executed. It shows the control flow through the program. In order to draw the control flow graph of a program, what is required? We have to number the statements. Then this is equivalent to the number of nodes. Then we make the edges as per the control flows. So this is how we prepare it. So this was the example. Then I said, okay, path not possible because we have many paths possible in a control flow graph. Then I said we have the concept of linear independent path where we have one new edge or a new node, right? Path coverage testing does not require coverage of all the path, but only coverage of linear independent path. Okay, fine, right? So how many linear independent paths will be there in this example? Anyone? Try. So one, I'll tell. This is one distinct path, 1 to 6. Another distinct path is this, 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6. Right? New node is introduced. Another path is 1, 2, 4, 5, 1 and 6. So we have altogether 3 linear independent paths in this control flow graph. Right? Understood? 1 and 6 a distinct path. 1, 2, 3, 5, 1 and 6. 1, 2, 4, 5, 1 and 6. So 3 linear independent paths. So the task becomes simple. Now we just have to design 3 test cases and our task is completed. It becomes simple now. But what is the problem with this is, say this is just a 6-line statement or a code. While a control flow graph, for a practical problem, a real world problem, the codes will be thousands of lines. And for those thousands of lines, you're supposed to make this control flow graph. And from that control flow graph, which have n number of nodes and a chaotic structure will be developed, you need to identify all the linear independent paths. So it becomes messy. We are not able to identify. As you start from 1 to 100 node, thousands node, we get lost somewhere. It becomes very difficult. So then came a concept of McCabe's cyclomatic complexity. It's not a separate method. It is used in conjunction with linear independent path. What does this say? In any control flow graph, right? what we say is it identifies or it calculates the upper bound of total linear independent path in a control flow graph, right? That means this Maccabe cyclomatic complexity tells the upper bound. Upper bound means total number of linear independent paths that will be present in a control flow graph. So if somebody tells you, okay, in this graph, maybe 6 nodes, maybe 10 nodes, maybe hundreds of nodes, or in thousands of nodes, somebody tell you that it has 3 linear independent paths. So by hit and trial method, we can identify those 3. Okay? But if you don't know the total number, so you will try to search. Somebody would search 1, somebody would search 10, somebody would search 7. So it's not a standard one, right? So this Maccabe cyclomatic complexity is this method, right? So this method will calculate the upper bound or the total number of linear independent paths. Then by hit and trial, we can easily identify those. So how to calculate that cyclomatic complexity, which is indicated by Vg? So we have 3 distinct methods for this, right? All the 3 are good enough to explain. Very simple methods, just you must be clear with this method. The first method says, for any control flow graph, if you're supposed to calculate this cyclomatic complexity Vg, the expression is E minus n plus 2. E denotes the number of edges and n denotes the number of nodes. So it is very well and clear from the diagram how many edges we have and how many nodes we have. So in this example, we have 7 edges, 6 nodes. So calculate this, it comes out to be 3, right? So you got the total number 3 linear independent paths are there. Now by hit and trial, we can identify. So the first one is this, second one is this, and third one is this. Fine. So this becomes simple. Now what does the second method says, right? Second method is again by just looking or inspecting the control flow graph, anyone could tell how many linear independent paths will be there using the expression Vg equals to total number of bounded areas plus 1, right? So what is a bounded area? The closed region. One closed region is this, second closed region is this. See, this is an open, right? So 1 and 2. So we have 2 bounded areas plus 1, that is 3. So you can match your answer with the first method. They must all should be same, right? Third method. Third method is simply we can identify from the code itself, right? The very simplest method. It says that by computing the number of decision statements, this n denotes the number of decision statement here. So Vg is equivalent to number of decision statement plus 1. So how many decision statement we have? It's visible. We don't have to look for control flow graph here. Simply how many decision statement? One is a while where the decision is made, another is an if else. So 2 decision statements were there. So ultimately 2 plus 1, 3. So using these 3 methods, you will get the same answer, right? So this was all about your testing, designing the test cases using white box approach. So that's all for today. We'll start with the lecture 3 tomorrow. Thank you.